Satya Shishimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBD Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhujakacharya Stotra Satya Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govindam Chayane Nirvishesha Shadivani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, The Creation, Chapter 15, The Pandavas Retire Timely, Text 33. Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhoksaje niveshitatmo pararama samshrite. Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhoksaje niveshitatma pararama samshrite. Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhoksaje niveshitatmo pararama samshrite. Everyone chant, please.
Hare Krishna. Prathapyanusratya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhokshaje nivesitatmo pararama shramshate.
Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavat gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhoksaje niveshatatmo pararama sangsrite.
Pratyapanushrutya dhananjayoditam nāshamam yadunam bhagavat gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dhoksaje nivesitatmo pararama samsrita.
Hare Krishna. Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasam yadunam bhagavat gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavati adoksaje nivesitatmo parama samsrite.
Hare Krishna. Tithapi anushrutya dhananjayoditam नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मो परराम संसृतेः। हरे कृष्ण।
विद्यापनुसृत्य धनञ्जयोदितं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्यधोक्षजे निवेशितात्मो परराम संसृते।
Anyone else? Very good. Word for word translation. Prita Kunti. Api also. Anushrutya overhearing. Dhananjaya Arjuna. Uditam uttered by. Nasham end. Yadunam of the Yadu dynasty. Bhagavat of the personality of Godhead. Gatim disappearance. Cha also. Tam all those. Eka anta unalloyed. Bhaktya devotion. Bhagavati unto the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Aroksaje transcendence. Niveshita atma with full attention. Upararama became released from samshrite material existence. Translation. Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The setting of the sun does not mean the end of the sun. It means that the sun is out of our sight. Similarly, the end of the mission of the Lord in a particular planet or universe only means that he is out of our sight. The end of the Yadu dynasty also does not mean that it is annihilated. It disappears along with the Lord out of our sight. As Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to prepare to go back to Godhead, so also Kunti decided, and thus she fully engaged herself in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, which guarantees one a passport for going back to Godhead after quitting this present material body. The beginning of devotional service to the Lord is the beginning of spiritualizing the present body, and thus an unalloyed devotee of the Lord loses all material contact in the present body. The abode of the Lord is not a myth, as is thought by the unbelievers or ignorant people, but one cannot reach there by any material means, like a Sputnik or space capsule. But one can certainly reach there after leaving this present body, and one must prepare himself to go back to Godhead by practicing devotional service. That guarantees a passport for going back to Godhead, and Kunti adopted it. Pritapyanushrutya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad-gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya roksaje niveshitatmo pararama samshrite. Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up for class this morning. Another great verse, wonderful verse, and very interesting verse. One tiny little thing I'll just mention now and get out of the way here at the beginning. This is Kunti hearing about the disappearance of Krishna and the Yadu dynasty and her reaction. And those who notice such things may also notice that sometimes it's described that Kunti left the palace along with Gandhari and Dhritarashtra when they went to the forest, and some descriptions, including Prabhupada mentioning it in one purport earlier in the Bhagavatam, mentioning that Kunti left for the forest with them and died in the forest there. And all I'll say is that I have no resolution except to say that there are different descriptions, as Bhagavatam is describing that Kunti stayed in the palace up until this time. And there are other descriptions, like I think in the Mahabharata, for example, describing how she left for the forest along with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari at that time. So it's just two different versions of the story, whether it's told at different times or in different, just like Prabhupada says that Krishna comes and then he disappears from his sight in this, our sight in this universe, and his pastimes go on in a different universe. So sometimes there may be variations, but I have no real explanation for that. I just wanted to point it out and bring it up. But at least as the Bhagavatam is describing it here in this verse, Kunti was there in the palace. She overheard. The word is anushrutya. Anushrutya means overhearing, and anushrutya also means hearing in parampara, or hearing from authorized sources. So Prabhupada says she overheard it, just like Arjuna and Yudhishthira were all talking, and Kunti was also present, listening in. Or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Arjuna directly told Kunti that after meeting with Yudhishthira, he went to meet with Kunti and told her about it. In both cases, anushrutya, either overhearing it or hearing it from the proper source. This word anu means to follow, like anukarana and anusharana means to imitate or to follow in the footsteps. Description of pure devotional services, Krishnanu Shilanam, that you're performing devotional activities following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So in any case, Kunti Devi heard about this. She heard the disappearance of Krishna, the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty, and immediately she took to devotional service. And actually, again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary, he actually says that right there, that the very second, like Arjuna told Kunti, this is what happened. And at that very moment, she entered into trance, meditating on Krishna. And right then and there on that spot, she passed away, gave up her body and went back to God, right on that exact moment and exact spot. But in any case, this is what she did. She was such a devotee, such an amazing devotee, that she heard that and said, oh, Krishna's pastime's finished. I'm finished. I have no other reason to remain in this world. We all came, got to take part in Krishna's pastimes. Now it's over. I'm gone. And the quality of her devotion is mentioned. We'll get into that. And her result was upara rama samshrite. Samshrite is the same word, same meaning as samsara, material condition, and upara rama. Upara means dying or attaining a goal, and Rama means the highest spiritual pleasure. Prabhupada says he was talking about analyzing the Maha Mantra, and he said, actually, there are three names, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Rama means the supreme pleasure. Krishna means all attractive, and Hare means the energy. Then it is perfect. So Kunti attained upara Rama samshrite, complete freedom from material conditioning and passing away from this material world and attaining the highest spiritual pleasure, which of course means returning back to Godhead. or in Kunti's case, maybe to continue on in Krishna's pastimes in another universe, whichever the case may be. Upararama samshrite, she was completely freed of material conditioning, absorbed in the bliss of service and meditation on Krishna. And this is how perfect Kunti is. You can't overestimate Kunti's importance in Mahabharata history and her position as an amazing, amazing devotee. Her devotion is so exemplary. What's the quality of her devotion? She said, Sneha pasham imam chindi, dridham pandushu vrishnishu. Oh, I have such deep affection, such strong affection for all of my family members. But cut that. She's praying to Krishna, cut that affection. Sneha pasham, that the bounds, the ropes that I'm tied by my material affection, cut those ropes. Why? Why cut the ropes of affection? Does she want to just be a unemotional person, like a dry, unemotional person? No. Twai me nanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahatad adha gange vogam udanvati. Actually, she's so emotional that she wants her emotions, her feelings, her love for Krishna to flow like the Ganges River, the powerful Ganges, which comes down from the Himalayas and works its way to the ocean. And nothing can hold it back, unimpeded, that huge force of flowing water coming down to the ocean. She wants her devotion like that, unimpeded, a huge, powerful flow of her love directed exclusively towards Krishna. Twai me nanya vishaya, she says in that verse of Kunti Stotra. Twai me nanya vishaya, ananya vishaya, without being diverted by anything else. She wants it to be completely undiverted. Ratim udvahatad adha is the same thing. Let my attraction for Krishna overflow and be very powerful and unimpeded and undiverted. This is the quality of love she's talking about. And this is exactly the same quality of love for Krishna that is being described in today's verse. In the third line, Ekanta Bhaktya Bhagavat at Hoksajay. Ekanta Bhaktya, this is the same thing. Ekanta means just one, focused, not diverted, not Bhagavad Gita says, not bahushaka, not many branched, but ekanta is focused, one, like a magnifying glass, takes the sun rays. The sun's rays are spreading out in all directions and giving us light and giving us heat. But if you take the magnifying glass and it takes those sun's rays and it focuses it down all onto one single point, then it becomes so powerful. In fact, just like Prabhupada said, the sun is fire. It's so hot, thousands of degrees, millions of degrees, whatever it is. And we're enjoying the light of the sun. And if not today, but if there's a little sunlight, you could go out in the sun and feel a little warmth from it. And it's very wonderful to feel. But when you take the magnifying glass and you focus those rays onto one point, then you're, at least to some degree, you're recreating and returning to that original blazing intense fire of the sun by focusing the rays onto one point. So this is the kind of devotion that Kunti is feeling and the kind of devotion that she's advocating, both in her Kunti Stotra and also in today's verse. Ekanta Bhakti is focused, one-pointed devotion. And Bhagavat Hoksajay Niveshita. Niveshita means the same thing. Prabhupada says Niveshitatma means with full attention. So at that same point, with full attention, your complete attention on Krishna, not diverted to anything else, not distracted to anything else. This Ekanta Bhakti, this Bhagavat Hoksajay Niveshitatma, this is the quality of devotional service, or it's supposed to be the quality of advanced devotional service of an advanced devotee. This is all the topmost devotees have this type of devotion, this one-pointedness, this exclusivity. It's not only powerful, but it's focused exclusively on Krishna. This is the definition of pure devotional service. Anyabhilashita shanyam jnana karmadyanavritam means that it's focused. It's not diverted to jnana. Oh, I'll worship Krishna, but I'll also spend a little time and energy on jnana. I'll also spend a little time and energy on karma. That's not devotional. That's not pure devotional service. Pure devotional service means ekanta. It's focused on the one thing without being diverted to the other things. And all the great devotees practice this. When the gopis ignored family responsibilities and social norms and even ordinary morality to run off to the forest to be with Krishna. This is this kind of devotional service. It's so powerful and it's so focused exclusively on Krishna. When Parikshit Maharaj himself, we've heard in some past chapters about the glories of Parikshit. When Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die, he had this reaction also. Let's see, this is in upcoming chapter 19. When he's cursed and he goes to the bank of the Ganges and he prays, he says, "Oh Brahmanas, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird or whatever magical thing the Brahmana created bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu." He's not concerned even about his impending death by this magical snake bird monster thing. He said, whatever, not important. I'm focused only on Krishna. I want to hear about Krishna, and I want all of you just to go on hearing about Krishna. So this is a kind of very powerful and very one-pointed devotional service that a pure devotee has. Bhagavad Gita says it more than once. Vyavasayat mega budhir ekeha guru nandina bahusaka yanantascha budayo vyavasayanam. That when one is real devotional service, real yoga is vyavasayat mega budhi, that the intelligence is fixed. Ekeha, again this word eka, one pointed, fixed on Krishna. And the others, bahusaka yanantascha, they have an unlimited number of their consciousness is many branched. Oh, I'm interested in this and family. Like Kunti's saying, I have these other attachments for the Pandus, for the Vishnus, for this, for that. And she says, no, cut that. I want it just to be one. She is also seeking this vyavasayatmika buddhi, this exclusive devotional service. Again, going to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this Bhagavad Gita verse, he explains this very nicely. This vyavasayatmika buddhi from Bhagavad Gita, he says, moreover, among all types of intelligence, that intelligence concentrated on bhakti yoga is the best. Resolute intelligence fixed in bhakti yoga is only one. The meaning of this is illustrated as follows. And he gives the words, he's giving a speech that a pure devotee might make. My sadhana is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to remember and glorify him as instructed by my guru. That is also my goal, my sadhya. It is my life-sustaining medicine, for I cannot give up the sadhana and the sadhya. This is my most desirable object, my duty, and nothing else is my duty. Nothing else is desired, even in dreams. There may be happiness or sorrow. Samsara may be destroyed or may not be destroyed. That is no loss for me. Let there only be resolute intelligence fixed in pure bhakti. This is a very beautiful and strong and striking description of this one-pointedness, the power of bhakti and the focus of bhakti. That your object is Krishna And Krishna is your everything, your intelligence and your mind and yourself and your body and your service is all directed very powerfully and very exclusively towards Krishna himself. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, that's also described. Let's see. Yeah, very nice verse quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami in describing what is the nature of pure devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami quotes this. It's also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's also very, I always liked, it's very nice how so many nice Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verses are quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is one of them. Ananya mamata Vishnu, mamata prema sangata, bhaktir ityuchate bhishma, praladudava naradai. And Prabhupada, he doesn't quote the Sanskrit, but he does explain that verse in Nectar of Devotion. In chapter 19, Devotional Service and Pure Love of God, or describing Prema Bhakti, he says, let's see, just analyzing that verse, he says, great authorities like Bhishma have explained that love of Godhead means completely giving up all so-called love for any other person. According to Bhishma, love means reposing one's affection completely upon one person, withdrawing all affection for any other person. This pure love can be transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead under two conditions, out of ecstasy and out of causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So that's Prabhupada's translation and analysis of that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse. So Bhishma is another person who had this understanding that this exclusive devotion on Krishna, this verse is quoting great authorities like Bhishma, Prahlad, and Narada, and others. So Bhishma Dev was also a great example of this. Going back a few chapters in our Bhagavatam reading, our Bhagavatam class, to the passing away of Bhishma. There's this nice verse. This is text 42 of chapter 9. When he's getting ready to pass away, Bhishma Dev prays, now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord. Again, I think is the word eka used here. Maybe not. But anyway, he says, now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one. So this is a very nice example. The sun is one in the sky, but everyone is receiving the heat of the sun and the light of the sun, but still the sun is one. Similarly, a super soul is one. He's in my heart and your heart and the heart of the cockroach and the dog and everyone and everything, but he's one. And the oneness means that you have one object of devotion, one object of meditation to fix upon, Lord Krishna himself. So this quality that Krishna is one and Krishna is mine, this mamata, this is mentioned also in that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse, Ananya mamata Vishnu. Mamata means possessiveness. Ananya, anything else besides Vishnu is not my possession. Mamata prema sangata, but with love of Krishna, you're feeling Krishna is, I am possessed by Krishna and Krishna is my possession. Bhaktir iti uchite, this is called bhakti, pure bhakti. So one time in 1968, I think it was, Prabhupada was giving class and Mother Mother Himavati asked a question at the end of the class. And she said, well, if we don't own anything, then how can we say that Krishna is mine? And Prabhupada said, oh, you don't think you can say Krishna is mine? And she says, I'm asking, I don't know. And Prabhupada says, no, you know. And then he explained. He says, Mama means mine. All these living creatures, they are my parts and parcels. So why the living creatures shall not say, my God? Do you follow? Krishna says, you are mine. Why shall you not say, Krishna, you are mine? Your husband says, you are mine. Why shall you not say, you are mine? But don't take it in the material sense. In material sense, as soon as I say it is mine, then it is nobody else's. It is my property. So Krishna is not like that. You can say Krishna, my. There is no harm. Rather, if anyone wants to possess something as his, then that possession should be Krishna. That is the ultimate conception of mine. That is the perfection of the word mine. So it is quite nice and quite fit. So this is so beautiful that we have one possession, Krishna. We have one God, Krishna. I can't remember let me see if I can find this quickly, but I think in the Gita Mahatmya, there's one of the verses is, I can't find it now, Eka Shastram, Devaki Putra, Gitam, and Eka I can't remember, Eka Mantra. Does anyone know that verse of Gita Mahatmya? That there should be one Shastra, Bhagavad Gita, one God, Krishna, and one activity, devotional service to Krishna. So this oneness, this focus on oneness, without being distracted, without being diverted, without being many branched to a gazillion other things in this material world, this is really at the heart of pure devotional service. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Sarvadam and Prityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. You give up all the other things and Mam Ekam, you focus on the one thing, surrender to Krishna. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So this is the understanding, this is what pure devotional service, that you have this very powerful love and emotion and determination and intelligence towards Krishna. And you take that emotion and feeling and service and determination, and you ensure that it's not diverted, because if you divert it, then it's going to be weakened. Like if you have a flow of water, and if some water is being channeled off here, and some water is being channeled off there, and you build a dam here, and you only let a little through here, then eventually you'll just have a little trickle. But if you leave it unimpeded to flow, then the powerful river can flow like that, unimpeded, and be very powerful without being diverted. So it's important to remember this is at the core of devotional service. And yet, there it is. Thank you very much. Eka Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eka Devo. Let's see, I'm sorry, in the chat.
Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani, Karmapya Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. There need be only one holy scripture, the Divine Gita, sung by Lord Shri Krishna, only one worshipable Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, only one mantra, his holy names, and only one duty, devotional service unto the supreme worshipable Lord Shri Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for finding that, Mother. Very good. So this is one point. This is pure devotional service, and as I was just going to say, and yet this has to be understood properly, understood in a mature way. A neophyte may think one-pointed. I don't want to be diverted to anything else. I don't want to be interested in anything else. I don't want to give my attention, my affection to anything else. So I love Krishna and everyone else go to hell. I don't care about you. My wife, my child, my friend, who cares? Go to hell, whatever. I'm only focused on Krishna. This is the actual definition of the most neophyte devotee, the Prakrita Bhakta. Prakrita literally means, Prakriti means material. So the Prakrita Bhakta means he's a Bhakta of some sort, but Prakrita is very materialistic conception to think like that. That Archayam eva hareye, pujam yashvadaye hate. This is very nice. That the Prakrita Bhakta, he's worshiping Krishna. Archayam eva hareye, pujam yashvadaye hate. He's worshiping Krishna and he has faith in Krishna. But what's his fault that makes him Prakrita, that makes him materialistic? Archayam eva hareye, pujam yashvadaye hate. Natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smrita. He's worshiping Krishna, seemingly worship Krishna, but natad bhakteshu, he doesn't know how to treat the devotees. He doesn't know how to serve the devotees. He doesn't know how to interact properly with the devotees. Chanyeshu, or anyone, or all the living entities in general. He thinks he's doing everything by worshiping Krishna, but because he doesn't know how to relate to the devotees, he doesn't know how to relate to other living beings, therefore he's materialistic devotee. Why materialistic? I thought we're supposed to be focused on Krishna, but you have to understand Krishna. Krishna means Krishna and all of his energies and all of his expansions and all of his devotees and everything connected with Krishna. What's the verse from Lord Shiva speaking to Parvati? Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram de aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadyanam samarchanam. That even better than the worship of Vishnu is the worship of his devotees. So if you say, I'm worshiping Krishna, but the hell with the devotees or the hell with the other living beings, you're not actually worshiping Krishna very properly, and you're not understanding Krishna's nature, because everything is an expansion of Krishna. So if we love Krishna, then we also have to know how to relate to all of Krishna's energies. And he especially loves his devotees. So if you worship Krishna but neglect his devotees, then that's a great offense. Just like last Wednesday in the Chaitanya Charitamrita reading, we were hearing how the one person was thinking he was a devotee and worshiping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but neglecting Nityananda. So this is incomplete understanding. And he said, such a person who's accepting Lord Chaitanya but rejecting Nityananda, better he just becomes an outright atheist. So in the same way, if you're worshiping Krishna but neglecting the devotees, it's the same thing. You're actually an offender. So this has to be understood. Our focus is Krishna, exclusively Krishna, but that includes Krishna's devotees and properly understanding how to deal with all living beings. Just like that, after that verse about the Prakrita Bhakta, there's the Madhyama Bhakta who knows how to relate to everyone very nicely. Let's see, did I write it down here? Maybe not. How's that? After Archayam eva hareye is Prema Maitri Kripo Peksha, that's the third line. Yat Karoti Samadhyama, that the Madhyama Bhakta, he knows how to relate to Krishna. He knows how to relate to the devotees. He knows how to relate to the innocent persons. And he knows how to relate even to the demons. His love and devotion is given exclusively to Krishna, but he also knows how to make friends with the devotees. He also knows how to preach to the innocent, and he also knows how to avoid the demons so as to minimize their offense. Anyway, prema, maitri, kripo, peksha, that you relate to different persons differently, all in the service of Krishna. Prema for Krishna, maitri, friendship with the devotees, kripa to the innocent, mercy to the innocent, and avoidance of the demons. And then even above that is the Mahabhagavat devotee, Bhagavat Bhavam Atmana, Sarva Bhuteshu Ya Pashed, Bhagavat Bhavam Atmana, that the Mahabhagavat, Sarva Bhuteshu Ya Pashed, he sees all living entities, Bhagavat Bhavam Atmana, as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and eternally related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means that the singular, one-pointed, intense focus on Krishna has to include how to relate properly to all other living beings. We don't categorically reject friendship, reject family, husband, wife, reject children. All these different relationships are there. We don't reject them, but if they're subsumed under our devotion to Krishna, if they're included within our devotion to Krishna, then those things can be done properly as part of our devotion. The difficulty, the one-pointedness, or the bahushaka, the many branchedness, comes when we forget the relationship of those things with Krishna. If we forget that husband and wife relationship is part of our service to Krishna and think, oh, my husband is here to satisfy my senses, my wife is here to satisfy my senses, my children, whatever, are for some material benefit, then that's the misunderstanding that needs to be rejected. So that even when we're in our family life, in our business life, in our whatever life we have to make sure that's all part, not separate from, but part of our one-pointed fixedness on Krishna. It's a very nice discussion. Some of the devotees here may know Mother Urmila. Her father actually got to meet Srila Prabhupada, maybe more than once, at least once. And there's a really great conversation that he had with Srila Prabhupada. And in one point, he said, he was talking about his daughter. And Prabhupada, I think, made some comment, your daughter's a devotee, so nice. And then he asked a very interesting question. He said, by loving my daughter, can I learn to love Krishna? I don't know if he said Krishna or God, that I don't have the exact words, but he said, by loving my daughter, can I learn to love Krishna? And Prabhupada said, no, but by loving Krishna, you can learn to love your daughter. So this is the priority, I suppose you could say, that yes, we're completely one focused on Krishna as our exclusive object of love and devotion. But through that, we learn how to relate properly and give proper love to all living beings. Prabhupada also one time said that people say, oh, you want to love humanity or love everyone. But how can you love everyone? Do you know everyone, that you can love everyone? But if you love Krishna and understand that everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, then automatically you'll know how to love and serve and relate in the best way, the most perfect way with everyone. So we have family life and we have family affection. These are normal things. These are natural things. I would even go so far as to say that these are very healthy things. If someone's in a marriage and there's no affection and there's no friendliness, and you're just saying, I'm focused on Krishna, first of all, why get married in the first place if you're thinking like that? And if you are, that's not going to be a marriage that is, first of all, it may not be a marriage that lasts. Second of all, it's not going to be a marriage that actually helps your devotion to Krishna, that the husband and wife are cooperating. What more intimate material relationship is there than husband and wife? So it's natural that they'll work together to serve Krishna, and they'll be Madchita, Madgata, Prana, Bodhayantak, Prasparam. That's happening between husband and wife. And when you have children, same thing. If you, I only love Krishna, I'm not going to give any affection to my child, that child is going to grow up very damaged and very unhappy if he doesn't receive that affection. And part of that affection is that you give the child Krishna consciousness. You enlighten him in Krishna consciousness with love. Prabhupada said about the Gurukul also, that you have to educate with love, not with force. That you don't harangue anyone. What to speak of your child? Krishna's God, worship God, just with the sternness. But it all has to be done with love. So this family affection is there. It's natural. It's all, and it all for a devotee has to be connected with Krishna's service. Even ordinary friendship. I don't have the quote in front of me, but there's a very beautiful section in Bhakti Ratnakar describing Srila Sanatana Goswami. And, Sanatana Goswami, he would stay at most, just wander about Vrindavan. Sometimes he would have a bhajan kutir, but for a lot of his time there, had no place. He would just go and wander from place to place and sleep under a tree at night. But all the residents of Vrindavan loved Srila Sanatana Goswami so much. When he would come to a village, that as soon as the villagers heard, if someone saw, oh, Sanatana Goswami is coming down the road towards our village, the whole village would drop what they were doing. And they would immediately run out and greet him and seat him under a tree. And they would bring milk products and offer him, because they knew he hardly ate anything. They would offer him a little milk, a little chach, a little buttermilk. And they would talk to him. And Sanatana Goswami was so friendly. He would inquire from every single person in the village. How are you doing? How is your business going? How are your crops growing? Oh, you had a child. How is your child doing? Oh, your child's grown. Did you get your son married? Did you get your daughter married? And he would hear about if things were going well. He would hear about that and rejoice with them. And if they were having some difficulty, he would hear that and he would commiserate with them. He would feel empathy with their misery. And by him doing that, all the residents in that village would feel such bliss. Just in this friendly relationship, even in ordinary things, this friendly relationship. And they were all, and because of that, of course, Sanatana Goswami is exclusively engaged in devotional service. And all of the villagers are also worshiping Krishna, but they have this such friendly relationship. And then the next day he would leave and the whole village would again turn out to, crying, saying goodbye to him. And he would go to another village and the same thing would happen. So this friendship and love and family is there. These are not to be categorically rejected. What's rejected is separating them from Krishna consciousness. Just like with children, we quoted a couple of weeks ago, Prabhupada saying to that one devotee, one woman was thinking, oh, I have this child. Let someone else take care of my child. I'll worship the deities. Because, the neophyte thinks, Archayam eva haraye, putam yashradayehate. Let me worship the deity and forget everyone else. But Prabhupada said, no, for you, your child worship is more important than deity worship. So this is how an intelligent devotee, a mature devotee, has to seriously consider these things, has to integrate his one-pointed devotion on Krishna with all of Krishna's parts and parcels and understand this. And the problem, of course, not to be forgotten, not to be overlooked, is that if we overindulge in these things, family affection, friendship, business, whatever it may be, if we overindulge in a way that diverts our actual devotion away from Krishna, this is the fault. This is the thing to be avoided. There's that, just like that nice verse from Srila Rupa Goswami, Smeram Bangi Chaya Parichitam Sachi Vistirna Jishtim Vamsi Nastya Darakashalayam Ujwalam Chandrakena Govindakyam Haritanu Mita Keshi Tirto Pakante Ma Prekshishtas Tavayadi Hare Bandhu Sange Stiranga. In Sanskrit poetry, there's a technique, I forget the technical name for it, but it's a technique of glorifying something by seemingly appearing to criticize it. So in this verse, he says, oh, you want to see Krishna? Krishna is so beautiful. He's standing there in the moonlight on the banks of the river Yamuna at Keshi Ghat. and he's holding the flute to his lips, and his lips are as soft as tender mango leaves, and his fingers are like tender branches of trees, and he's so beautiful in his golden cloth, and he's effulgent and beautiful and shining in the moonlight. But you should not go see Krishna like that, like seemingly criticizing. Don't see Krishna like that, because if you go see Krishna like that, you're going to forget all about Bandhu Sange Stiranga. You're going to forget all about friendship, family, and love, and playing with your friends and doing all those other things. You'll forget all about that. So this is the negative praise, that don't go see Krishna, because that'll negate all this material friendship, family, and love. So the caution has to be there, and that's proper. The caution, the renunciation, the danger of being lost in material family, in material attachments, in diverting our attention and our affection in so many ways. And at the same time, we also have to learn to integrate these things so that they're part of our devotional service, that they're actually identical. They are our devotion to Krishna, with our family, with our friends, with our business, with our life. And we also make lots of time for that exclusive devotion, for chanting Hare Krishna, which is exclusive devotion for Krishna, for dancing before the deities, which is exclusive devotion to Krishna, for reading Srimad Bhagavatam, which is exclusive devotion to Krishna. And we make time for those things, and we do them with our family, and we do them on our own. And so an intelligent devotee learns to integrate this. So when we can do that, we remember those two things. This bhakti, like Kunti had, very powerful and very focused, and kicking out all other affection. And yet remembering everything, anything and everything and everyone is part of Krishna's energies, and when understood properly, are also an integral part of our relationship with Krishna. When we can integrate that with a little intelligence, with a little study, with a little guidance from others, then we have a balance that can really nourish our devotion, and we have hopes of advancing. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments or discussion?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Wonderful class. I really appreciated hearing about the one focusedness of our devotional life, and and also, that to maintain our balance of not just that Krishna did everything else go to hell, as he said. It's a great way to phrase it, because it's true. I mean, you have to really keep that balance, but how is my question, because it's not easy. I have my hand in a bunch of different things, and so I always struggle with keeping that one focus on Krishna and not just kind of having my attention all over the place. So I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can't speak to your particular position or your particular experience, but see how because ultimately Krishna is the object, we can judge everything by how it influences our devotion to Krishna. If by pursuing the other things that we need to do, family, friendship, business, whatever it may be, if we're seeing that our devotion remains nourished and remains strong and progressive, then that's at least a sign, a positive sign that we have some, good balance going on. If we find that our devotional service is becoming weakened, is becoming atrophied or neglected, then that's a sign that maybe our balance is out of whack. So like I said, I don't have a specific thing, but that's one thing, is to look at how, when you do have those moments of exclusive devotion, when you sit down in a chant, when you worship at the temple or do your puja at home, is that still going on strongly? Then that's a sign that your balance is, at least tentatively, at least probably okay. Also, someone who actually knows you very well and knows your life, inquiring from them for guidance is a good idea. I was just reminded of a little story from my past. Very early in my marriage, I was not feeling very happy in my marriage. I was not a great husband. I was feeling a little, husband and wife, there's always some fighting. So I was going through a stretch with my wife, and we were in Vrindavan, and I went to speak to a senior devotee and authority about it. And I was discussing about it. And I said, well, Srila Prabhupada said he didn't like his wife. And if I don't like my wife, this is like 30 years ago. So this has not 30 years ago, but 20 something years ago. So it has nothing to do with how I feel about my wife now. This was just a phase. When I said, oh, Prabhupada said I didn't like my wife very much. And so if I don't like my wife, that's okay. And the devotee said to me, no, it's not that the goal is to not like your wife. So everything, anyway, I'm not sure if that doesn't even really apply. To just story came to mind about this, but it's not to reject the material things or the material side, but to make them conducive to devotional service. And my wife is awesome. I just want to say my wife is awesome. I love her dearly, and she's a great devotee, a million times better than me. And that was just 20 something years ago. But anyway, I have nothing specific to say about your condition, but look at how it's affecting your devotion. Inquire from others who know you very well. Get advice from someone who knows you, knows your situation. And just make sure that the actual core devotional activities, the hearing, the chanting, the serving, if they're going on strongly, that's a positive sign.
Thank you. That's actually really helpful, because I think, what you said, what I'm hearing you say is that the things like chanting and hearing our sadhana, basically, if that still feels like we're connecting to Krishna and it feels nourishing, then something in our day is obviously, keeping that going strong. But
right.
if activities in our day were detracting from our overall Krishna consciousness, then those activities of our sadhana, our chanting and hearing would be weakened, and we wouldn't feel as strong from those activities, and they wouldn't feel as good. That's really helpful. Thank you, Prabhu, very much.
And also you could even look for particular ways where, like in, I'll just give an example, family life, that look for particular ways, say with the husband and wife, oh, let's chant together, let's do bhajans together, let's do some service together. So that's another way of integrating those things nicely. Or if we have a business, if we have a job, find some ways to include preaching or Krishna consciousness in it, if that's possible. Or certainly with our children, to make sure that their life is as Krishna conscious as possible. So yeah, look that the core sadhana is going nicely, and look for deliberate ways that you can integrate the two. Anything else? Question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was just thinking when you said loving Krishna, when you were talking about Mother Urmila and her father asking that question. Conversely, we could always also say that if you don't love Krishna, then you will not love your relationships will also not. But my question is, and the risk of sounding, getting stuck on detail and forgetting the principle, when you were talking about Kunti following Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, or whether she left with the Pandavas, isn't there a difference? Dhritarashtra and Gandhari left because, at least Dhritarashtra, not so much Gandhari, but Dhritarashtra had to be told what to give up and what to hold on to, whereas the Pandavas are leaving because their purpose for appearing here was over, and so is there
Oh yeah, the two leavings are aside from Kunti, comparing the Pandavas with Dhritarashtra, are very different. Very different.
So
yes. And their goals were different as well.
So Kunti leaving with them or with the Pandav? I guess she.
I don't know all the details, but Kunti is Kunti. Whether she hung out in the palace and then entered meditation and passed away at the moment we're hearing today, or in the forest fire, along with the others, heard meditation, whatever Dhritarashtra may have been. And we heard about Dhritarashtra, how he really couldn't come to the stage of devotional service, and he was just able to come to the stage of really of jnana yoga. But that doesn't apply to Kunti. Kunti was always the topmost devotee, whether she passed away in the forest fire in the forest, or at this moment we're hearing today. Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whichever version of the story is there, at least Kunti is always Kunti, the topmost devotee, and her absorption is always devotional service. And whether it was here, she stayed in the palace, or whether out of her very close and intimate and loving relationship and affection for Gandhari, went to the forest with them at that time. In whichever case, her goal is Krishna. And I don't want to get into it too much, but actually in the Mahabharata version, there's quite a few differences in the stories of how Dhritarashtra went to the forest. But that's another thing. Anything? Thank you very much, Mother. Anything else? Question or comment? Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention. I deeply appreciate it. Please accept my obeisances. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhubheva-cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Everyone have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Acharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.